Aerial coverage brought to you by DirecTV. DirecTV, it'll change your life. Call 1-800-DirecTV. Brad Keselowski in the 22 has caught Kyle Busch in the 18. Now can he finish the pass?
That's the tricky part. Catching him was one thing, but now trying to make this pass, and this is where it gets tricky, like you said, with completing the pass. It gets frustrating sometimes, but you see right here, Brad Keselowski is giving him a run.
Well, he's giving a run, but Andy, you're exactly right. This is one of the toughest racetracks to run side by side with and be able to make a pass, but he got enough distance getting in.
Yeah.
Then now I just drove right past him.
I just saw Kyle Busch make a good move right there. He just let him go, and see his brakes were kind of glowing. He might just cool it for a little while and see if his car will come back to it.
Yeah, totally agree. We're only 60 laps in this race right now. Why tear your equipment up right now? Why burn the brakes up? All that stuff. Be patient, man.
Kyle saying anything on the radio, Mike?
It's not what he said on the radio, but it's what Jason Ratcliffe said to me before the race. He said they were thrashing in practice. They weren't really sure where they would be when they started this race. And despite the fact that Kyle has led the majority of this race, he wasn't all that pleased, saying the car was very loose. So loose, in fact, they've already contemplated pulling a spring rubber on their first stop. So this car's still not dialed in to their liking.
And this track could come back to him. If his car's loose, the track's still going to cool down some, and he still has a chance of the track actually coming back to him as well.
Look at this for third, fourth, fifth, and sixth.
Well, these guys have been going at it right here. You can see Justin Allgaier. Oh, and he gets into Reed Sorensen just a little bit off turn 2.
But was it enough to bend that right front fender?
It didn't look like it had any damage on the right front when he went by that last time. I'm really sensitive to that stuff right there, because all year long, Andy, we've been seeing guys run fenders, and 4 or 5 laps later, they're blowing the tires out because of it. You know, Reed Sorensen doesn't look like he's even trying to get to the bottom of that racetrack. He's chose that second lane. He's been staying up there all night long. That's where his car's working the best right now.
He's giving the guys plenty of room to race underneath, but he's using that lane to make some good speed.
The Harvick is absolutely filling Allgaier's rear view mirrors here. Is that unsettling?
Well, for Allgaier, it's probably unsettling, and for Kevin, he's probably getting frustrated. Now, he knows that the 32 of Sorensen's working good in the racetrack. He can't get nothing done on the top. He's going to have to get on the bottom, because Sorensen's not going to move.
How much of your focus is on this battle with Reed Sorensen and the guy that's right on your bumper, though?
Well, I mean, it's definitely, if I'm Kevin Harvick, you know, I am looking at what's going to happen to both of these guys. And if I'm Reed Sorensen, you know, I know Kevin's back to breathing on my bumper. Kevin's the guy that's got to be patient right now. Now, it's a whole different ball game at the moment, because Allgaier's got gone now.
One car headed to pit road just in front of them. We'll check out who that is. Let me mention Morgan Shepherd has just taken his car to the garage. Josh Wise is off the track. Kevin LePage, David Gilliland, Mike Wallace still behind the wall, along with Mark Green, Derek Cope, and Brian Keselowski. And that was on pit road, the 09 car, I believe, of Hermie Sadler, making his first start of the Nationwide Series since 2004.
Yeah, good for him. I mean, he's from this area. He's excited about it. It's got a good sponsor on there. He's all pumped up, Hermie is, I can tell you that.
So Justin Allgaier in the Verizon car up to third position. Remind you that if you're a Verizon Wireless customer, text CHAMPION to 43776 for exclusive Champion Chats content from our NASCAR Now Roundtable panel. The one you'll get this week is talking about Jeff Gordon, Jimmy Johnson, and what Rick Hendrick has to do to keep that from disrupting the championship flow of that race team. 67 laps down, Brad Keselowski, the second leader of tonight's NASCAR Nationwide Series race in Richmond. Look forward to the NHRA action this weekend. They've had some spectacular races this season. It's been a great season for auto racing in general.
Oh, it has been. Racing's been great. NHRA is fun to race. Tomorrow I'm going to be sitting at the house watching Indy cars, watching drag racing. We got it all right here at ESPN, and I'm happy to see that.
So Brad Keselowski leads at lap 74, about to complete the 75th lap. He's moved away from Kyle Busch by about 0.8 of a second. There's the gap. Now looking a little bit farther back, we're going to find Jason Leffler's car, the 38 machine. Now this is a track where we've talked about a couple of times already today, brakes being at a premium and glowing brake rotors and that kind of thing. Well, Jason's brake rotors have been glowing, and maybe a little too much.
Yeah, we were just talking about brakes and how much better they are, but you can see right here, this is extremely hot. I mean, you're seeing that brake rotor, and now he's lost the pedal. We're hearing that he's almost totally lost the brake.
Dave, is that what he's saying?
Absolutely. Listen to the radio just a few laps ago from Jason Leffler. pedal's going away here, bud.
10-4, try to take care of it so we can stop here.
Can't turn if I don't use the brakes. You know, we're in a world here. I got to run a lot of brakes to keep the nose down to keep it turning.
4.
They're gone. Brakes are all the way to the floor, bud.
Let's go to the Craftsman Tech Garage. Tim, how do they handle this brewing brake problem?
The only thing they can do, Dave, if they've got any tape left on the nose, they have to take it off, put more airflow down through the hoses to cool the rotors. But when the brake fluid boils, that's an indicator. That's when air gets in there and the pedal gets real soft. It's not going to stop. What Brembo has done, we conduct airflow down through here and down through the caliper. See these exhaust holes right here? We get right in this area right here to cool behind the piston, because right here, that's where the fluid's at, and that's what created the problem.
You know, the teams have done, and the brake companies have done such a good job of keeping that caliper cool that they're able to use them more and more and more, and that's why you see that rotor taking all the abuse and getting so hot.
You know, Andy, when anyone come across the radio and tell me, hey, man, your brakes are really glowing red, I mean, the first thing I would do, though, is try to help that problem would be to start screwing more rear brake proportion to the back, actually putting more pressure on the rear wheels, taking some pressure off the front. Now, that'll help cool them down, but you got to be careful doing that, because if you put too much, that'll lock up the rear wheels going at the corner, and that's the problem here at Richmond. This is a real loosey place getting at the corner. Is that a word? I think it is.
It is now.
Yeah, that's a problem you can have getting into turn 1.
And the other problem Jason Leffler has is because he's having to ease off, he's fallen 20 seconds behind the leader at a place where the leader's turning 24 second laps. So if this thing runs green for much longer, Leffler's going to find himself a lap down.
He'll find himself a lap down. Well, one thing I would be concerned about as his crew chief is what can we do to help the car, change the car to where you don't have to use as much brake, and we can take a little stress off of that. Because normally the brake problems are on ill handling cars, not on the good handling cars. You don't usually see a brake problem.
And speaking of going a lap down, here's Brad Keselowski about to put Clint Boyer
Man, I'd have never
a lap down. 21 car, former Richmond winner. He's in 20th place, and he's a lap down. Couple of cautions, no pit stops for the leaders. We'll talk about when we might expect to see them on pit road in just a minute. Drivers in the top 5 have won 12 of the last 13 Nationwide Series races. They're dominating tonight. Riding on board the leader's car, Brad Keselowski, the second driver to pace tonight's NASCAR Nationwide Series race here in Richmond. Kyle Busch led the first 58 laps. Keselowski went by him and has been out in front ever since. He's opened up an advantage on second place of 3.5 seconds. He's hauling tonight. There's Brendan Gaughan on the move.
Yeah, you talk about those brake rotors getting hot. That car's got really hot brake rotors. I mean, that's the point with the crew chief, the spotters got to be screaming at him.
Yeah,
watch those brakes.
One thing he's screaming is the leader's coming, so you better get all you got right now.
That was for 16th place. Trevor Bayne fading back a little bit. So what do? You want to save the brake rotors, but you got to keep them getting lapped.
Yeah, that's a hard little thing to handle there.
Alan, just what I said. I mean, I'd be trying to put some rear proportion to the back, do anything you can, not to lose the speed out of the car, but cool the brakes down.
Here's Greg Biffle in the 27, Joey Logano in the 20, and they're racing for 7th place. Andy, we thought Logano would get right up there and challenge for the lead in this one.
Well, there's still a lot of time left. You know, he didn't charge up there at the beginning, but he's one of those guys that really does, you know, work on his car and peaks at the right time at the end of the race.
This 2017 finds himself in an interesting situation. Because of a change in laws regulating smokeless tobacco, that sponsorship on that 27 car has to come off the machine at the end of June. So they've only got 4 more races with Greg Biffle in that car and with sponsorship before they're looking at the unknown.
Yeah, and as good as this car's run, you would think that they wouldn't have much trouble replacing that sponsor. With Greg Biffle in there, I mean, you couldn't ask for a better package.
But talked with Gary Baker, the team owner, this morning. They're nervous. They don't have anything signed yet. Doc, they just lost a spot there, but having a solid run so far.
And they desperately needed, as you and I both spoke with Gary Baker, and Gary told me again right as they were climbing in the car and helping buckle in Greg Biffle. 4 races with Greg Biffle, as you said, 2 with Scott Wimmer at Nashville and Kentucky, and then for all intents and purposes, they could be done. But they've got some people watching tonight. He said, if we can just somehow take advantage of one of these next 6 races and get to victory lane, we could have someone jump on board and finish out the year. And guys, they are 7th right now in car owner points.
Tough spot in the middle of the season to be trying to find sponsorship, but a good driver, a good team, and we'll see what happens with them. Now, speaking of good, that 66 car that just went by Greg Biffle That's Stephen Wallace, and he's having a solid night. He started back in 19th.
Oh, we got a problem in turn 4 here. Looks like a right front tire's gone down on this 43.